Hi, I'm Muddy. This is Moments with Muddy, a place for healing, soft living, and showing up whole. I'm so glad that you're here. This episode is a little special for me. I am celebrating 10 years of marriage with my husband this weekend. And if you know me, I'm always reflecting. So I had to sit and really reflect on the past 10 years and being someone who is a first generation African American born woman today, being married 10 years, I'm looking back on who I was when I entered my marriage. And I'm looking at myself today. And no marriage is perfect. Every marriage has its struggles, and every marriage has its ups and downs. But I can confidently say, being a woman who's currently on a journey to healing and improving myself and getting over traumas and just trying to be the best version of myself, I think that I can confidently say that my marriage has healed me and is still healing me. A lot of times we hear about certain circumstances where women feel very drained in their marriages and they feel like they lose themselves. We all go through that to some capacity, that parts of us have to be sacrificed because, marriage life, having kids, and trying to balance it all with like careers and passions and goals and things like that. But I'm proud of how far I've come as a person, and the man that I'm married to truly deserves to be commended for it, to be very, very honest. And there's so many things that I've learned about myself, because marriage is one of those things that it puts a mirror to your face. It puts this big mirror, and it's not just a regular old mirror. It's a mirror that also works as some sort of an x-ray machine. Like, you see the rawest parts of yourself. You see all of your imperfections and you see it magnified. Like, you see everything that's wrong with you, everything that you thought you knew, and in every way that you thought you were right. Once you come into a marriage, it definitely challenges you. It challenges all of those ideas that you came into a marriage with. And there was a time in a part of our marriage that I was going through a lot. I felt so low about myself, and I was under stress all the time. I used to cry every single day, several times a day. And one day I just made a decision to focus on myself. And when I say focus on myself, I don't mean like forget my husband. I don't care about my husband. I'm just going to care about myself. I made an active decision to work on myself. Like, these imperfections that are being put to my face, let's work on them. We're either going to improve or we're going to accept them. But I made this conscious decision. It's about 7 years ago. So it's about 2, 3 years into our marriage. I made this decision. And I was like, I always say this: when you come into a marriage, you have two people who have been raised completely different environments, completely different households, different upbringings, different parents, and now we're bringing these worlds together. And now we have to figure out how it's going to work, how it's going to mesh. But if each person focuses on their responsibility and their contribution rather than focusing on their rights, because a lot of times in marriages we like to be like, okay, this is my right, you have to do this for me, this is what I'm supposed to receive. But are you standing in your position and fulfilling your responsibilities? So that's a decision that I actively made, and to date it was the best decision that I've made. And like I said, being paired with the person I was paired with along with this decision has taught me so much. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about what are the things that I learned in my healing journey because of my marriage. Like, how is my marriage healing me as a woman and allowing me to show up as my best self? And one of the first things that I want to say that I learned is that I don't have to be perfect at this or at anything. Because when you are African, you are brought up to believe that every part of your existence is about showing up as the best wife. And you have to be able to be your husband's everything. That's a mindset that I came into my marriage with. I thought I had to be the best friend, the best assistant, the best chef, the best homekeeper, the best caretaker, the best lover, the best everything. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to be perfect at everything. And that mirror definitely showed me that perfection is unrealistic, even though we know it. But sometimes having it put to your face that you're not going to do this well is tough. But one thing that my husband teaches me is that my best is the best I can do. And as long as I'm performing at my best and I'm being at my best, that's appreciated and that's enough. That was never enough for me because I'm always moving the goalposts. If I did this well, I should have still did it this way. If I did this well, I should have still did it that way. But being able to have somebody tell you that if you can do it, you do it, and if you can't, you can't. That really told me, like, chill out. Like, I didn't know how much of a perfectionist I was until I really entered my marriage, but it really showed me that it's okay to not be able to do it all because I've always had to do it all. And it's something special about having somebody tell you you don't have to do it all. It hits different when you have that. So that was one big thing for me, just knowing that, like, I did what I could. And it's okay to, like, laugh at myself at the things that I probably thought I could do really well and I really didn't. Or, like, it takes time to build the skill set and have the capacity to do your best. Like, there's things I didn't do well in the beginning of my marriage that I do exceptionally well now. Or vice versa. There's things that I did really well when I first got married and now I have kids and I'm a little bit older and I can't do it to the same capacity. But knowing that where my best is at today is good. It's my best, so it should be good enough for me. Not only is it good enough for him, but it should also be good enough for me, you know? And with that being said, another thing that's really big that I really learned in my marriage is, this is a tough one because I just talked about this in my last episode, but finding safety in softness. I have a whole episode about this where I talk about where I'm learning to find my safety in softness and how I'm learning to define softness for myself. I'm a woman. Women are meant to be soft. I don't have to be hardcore and I don't have to be tough, but I grew up in an environment where I had to be. So the tricky thing in this case is that having somebody come and tell you it's okay to be soft, you don't trust that at first. It takes a long time to trust it. And even when you do, you don't trust it to the fullest capacity. Like, you're learning to trust it. And it's okay. Like, it's all right to have somebody that if you feel like you're not strong enough to carry yourself, you have somebody to carry you and to find a safety in it, to be okay to lean on somebody. Because I did not have that luxury growing up. So I'm learning to find that safety and I'm learning to slow down. That's the big thing about softness for me. The foundation of softness for me is to slow down. I have the perfect example that displays this in real time. This was sometime last year. I think I was making omelets for breakfast. Yeah. And my mom happened to be in the kitchen with me. So I'm like taking my time, enjoying the process, because I don't really like to rush when I'm cooking anything. So I'm taking my time with the eggs, then I shift over to making tea, and then I'm shifting over to, like, warm the bread to make it into a sandwich, because that's how my husband likes his omelet. So then my mom is like, why didn't you just, like, turn on the water heater while you were mixing the eggs, and then you could have fried the eggs and made the teacups prepared while you were frying the eggs. And I looked at her and I was like, what's the rush? Why are we rushing? And when I said that to her, I thought about the times that I would be in a haste and my husband would be like, why are you rushing? Take your time. Like, what are you rushing for? That, like, in real time, I'm seeing, like, the woman who was always in a rush. So I felt like I had to always be in a rush. And then the man who's telling me, slow down, be soft. It was such a funny thing that happened in a short amount of time. But that's really the epitome of what I'm learning being married. to the person that I'm married to. That it's like, slow down. Time will elapse, but we're still going to be where we at. So chill out. You know what I mean? Enjoy the time. There's no reason why you should be in such haste and you sweating. That's the big thing, because I sweat like a pig. So it's always like you're in a rush, you're in a haste, you're trying to get it all done. Why are you rushing? Take your time and do it right. Because like I said earlier, when you get older, you don't have the capacity to do things the way you used to do things. So as I get older, when I rush, I become very erroneous. I end up having to go back and do it over anyway. So why not slow down, do things right the first time, have all the information you need to do it right the first time, or all of the ingredients, all of the pieces that you need to do it right the first time, so that you could do it to the best of your capacity, so you can be happy with your output. Just slow down. And when you are able to slow down and have the right output, that's when you continue to feel safe in being soft. And he probably doesn't even know that this is huge for me. Imagine living like 25 years of your life always feeling stressed and pressured and rushed, and then one day someone's like, hey, take it easy. And it sounds so foreign, but it's like such a simple thing. And also connecting to that, another big thing that I'm learning being married to this man is how important prioritizing yourself is. This is big for all women, women who often have to serve everybody, women who are often the ones who a lot of people lean on and don't have options to lean on themselves, you know. And I talk about this too in one of my previous episodes about being the strong one, when you are the sole caretaker and the sole person that a lot of people lean on. In that though, in that role, it's okay to be the shoulder, but you have to find pockets to prioritize in yourself. And this is something that I see in the way he lives his life, because he's someone that everybody relies on. This man, everybody calls him, everybody needs him. People to the point they stopping me in the street and telling me, hey, tell your husband I need him for XYZ. But he always finds ways to prioritize himself. And that's one of the things that I admire the most about him, that he has such a healthy balance of, I need to take care of this for myself, and I have other people to take care of as well, but I got to take care of this for myself. And I used to feel guilty for it. Like sometimes he will even tell me, like, you need to go do this for yourself. And I'll be like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. Like I would say that in my head, because I know if I say that out loud, he's going to be like, you're crazy. But in my head, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I cannot do this for myself because I have to do X for this person and Y for that person. But I'm stealing pockets. I'm stealing time here and there. I don't want to call it stealing because it is my time, but I'm allowing myself pockets of time to do small things for myself. Whether it's I'm going to get a pedicure in the middle of my errands, or I stop and record a podcast episode in my car. Like, these are things that I'm doing for me because it makes me feel good. And at the end of the day, when I come back to the people that I have to serve, they're going to be right where I left them. Or even better, they'll probably figure it out in my absence. But being able to feel comfortable to prioritize myself, it took my marriage for me to realize that, because our family is growing, responsibilities are increasing, and it's just going to be more pressure on me. So if I don't find the time to prioritize myself selfishly and unapologetically, I'm going to burn out. And I have reached that level of burnout. And he says to me all the time that you're going to push yourself to burnout, and the people that I'm trying to show up for, the people you're trying to be there for, you're not even going to be able to be there for them because you're burnt out, or you're sick in bed, or you're under a lot of pressure, and you're crashing out on people, and you're getting little attitudes with people because you're overwhelmed. But that's because you're not pouring into yourself. And it's something, like I say with almost every lesson, because everything about this podcast is about me healing in real time. So I share a lot of gems that I'm learning as I'm healing. So this is something that I'm still learning, but I've came such a long way being married to somebody who's given me the space to feel comfortable to do so. The last thing that I want to share that I've learned being married is that no one's going to show up for me better than I can show up for me. Now, I don't say this to say that my husband doesn't know how to show up for me, because there's so many times that he doesn't even realize he showed up for me in ways that I really needed him to. Even he was just doing it out of nature, but it would be so timely. But one thing that I feel like a lot of us do, especially women, is that we want to attribute our happiness, our joy, and our comfort to the happiness, joy, and comfort that people bring to us. So if my husband brings me flowers, that's going to make me happy. But if he skips a week of not bringing me flowers, then my whole week is screwed up, right? That's not how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that way. We are the ones that are in charge of our own happiness. We are the ones that are in charge of our own joy. We are the ones in charge of our own safety and softness. And we are the ones in charge of our own healing. No one else can do it to the caliber of ourself, of what we can do. What we can do is we set this foundation. We set the foundation of what is it that I need to tackle? What is it that I need to work on? And I can't wait for my husband to validate that for me. I have to be the one to love and care about myself enough to do it, to make the first steps. And what I say often is, when you are on a journey, or if you're making a decision to better yourself, the energies that you're supposed to attract that are going to aid that journey will come naturally. And that goes for marriage as well. If you are in a place where you're putting yourself down a lot, your partner is not really gonna know where to stand. They could do things to try to make you happy in a moment, but as far as really taking that step and making that jump to actually improve yourself, they can't do it for you. You have to be willing to do that for yourself. And naturally, they will want to aid you in it. They will want to find pockets to make you more comfortable. They will want to give more, because you have to give that space. You have to give that positive space to enter, instead of bringing that negative wall up. And it's one of the biggest things that I learned being married to my husband. Obviously, being married, like, you find a comfort being validated by your spouse. Obviously, being married, you take joy, you have joy in them being happy with decisions that you make, or them hyping you up and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's your decision to make. It's you that has to set that space up for yourself, and then you guys can aid each other in making each other more happy. But that foundational piece that you need to really get yourself started to living a happy and fruitful life, it does not come from anybody else but you. And I learned that a lot in my marriage, a lot, because I used to think, like, yeah, we're supposed to make each other happy, but that happiness that they try to bring to you means nothing if you're not happy with yourself and happy in your core. And only you can do that. They can't do that for you. So in that thinking is where you start to find your independence in your marriage. Not independent as in a sense of you go and do things by yourself and you don't involve your spouse, but you have that confidence in your decision making. You have that peace where you start to trust yourself. You don't need them to necessarily be the driving force of the validation you need. You're able to give yourself validation when they're not around to do it for you. And I think that's the epitome of being a woman. That's the epitome of being a person who wants more for themselves and the people around them, is to be able to have this foundation where you can trust yourself, you can be soft and feel safe, that you know where to prioritize yourself, that you know that, you know, you are somebody that brings them joy, and you can bring yourself joy too, despite all of your flaws and despite all of your imperfections. The love that they give you, you are worthy of it and you deserve it. And whatever you give them is because you have so much gratitude for them and compassion for them as your partner too. And we hear a lot of stories about how marriages just strip so much away from women, and this concept of, oh, you don't need a man and all these kind of things. But let me be the one to tell you, God did his big one with the man that I'm married to. We've been married 10 years, like I said, this weekend. And it's one of the greatest things I've ever done, because I met one of the best people that I've ever met in my life. And I have this person to call my husband and live life with and do life with and grow a family with and become successful with. I'm blessed, and I'm so grateful for him, because this journey that I'm on to improving myself and healing myself, granted, the foundational piece of really working towards it is because I stood up and made a decision for myself. But the support that he gives me knowingly and unknowingly is one that I wouldn't trade for anything in this world, because it makes my journey so easy. Like I said earlier, having someone literally provide the safe space that you probably should have had like 15, 20 years ago is something that I don't play about. I don't take it for granted at all. And if I don't let him know anything else, and if I'm not grateful for anything else that he's ever done for me, and he's done so much for me, that is the one thing that I am the most grateful for. So, happy anniversary to us, of course. And I hope that if you are someone who is in a marriage and you're feeling like you really lost yourself in it, or you're not really sure how to move forward in it, it's important to understand that that mirror that gets put to your face when you're married, and all your imperfections and all of your flaws, that's what you need to look into. No shame, no judgment for yourself. Look into that mirror and make that decision that instead of me looking at all the things that are wrong, I'm going to find the ways that I'm going to make everything right. And I'm going to build the life that's going to fulfill me at the end. Because it starts with you. It starts with how fulfilled you feel, how happy you feel, and how safe you feel. And everything else will start to blossom. I think that making that decision for myself is why he and I are in such a good place right now. We're in a place that we could talk about our dreams, our aspirations. We can support each other. When I feel weak, when I feel down, I don't feel scared or unsafe to depend on him to stand for me. He says this all the time, and I'm going to leave you guys with this. Marriage is never 50-50. I've never believed that marriage was 50-50. I used to be one to believe that marriage is 100 and 100, where you each bring your 100%, but your 100% may not be 100%. He says it best. Sometimes it's 80 on me and 20 on him, and sometimes it's 80 on him and 20 on me. As long as we're bringing our best foot forward, we straight. We're imperfect. We know that each of us are imperfect, and we know that it's normal and human to be imperfect. But we find peace in knowing that whatever we brought to the table that day is our best. And I love him and thank him so much for that mindset and the space that I have. Thank you guys so much for spending a moment with me today. If this message resonated with you, make sure that you share it with someone that you love, and make sure that you're subscribing on all platforms to stay up to date with Moments with Muddy. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.